Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The Congressional Committee investigating the attack on the US Capitol in January 2021 has held its first public hearing to announce their findings.
I can just remember my breath catching in my throat.
US Capitol Police Officer Caroline Edwards recounted her experience of the war-like scene during the Capitol riot before the House Select Committee to investigate the attack. The committee also showed graphic footage of thousands of rioters attacking police and smashing their way into the Capitol building. It was the first of 6 planned hearings intended to show that the Republican former president tried to subvert the US Constitution and unlawfully hold on to power.
The images you recorded and have shared with the committee do a better job than any of our words in reinforcing the violence of January 6th. We hope that the power of your footage help encourage all Americans to consider how citizens with so much in common could viciously brawl at the seat of their democratic government.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has urged the West to pull his country from the grey area between the European Union and Russia.
Be active if they're backed with actions when a word literally...
Addressing the Copenhagen Democracy Summit, Zelensky called on sceptical politicians to move forward, allowing Ukraine to move to the European Union. He received a standing ovation by the audience that also waved the Ukrainian flag as a sign of support.
So let me be clear, the European Parliament, which I have the honour and responsibility to preside, stands firmly behind Ukraine's bid to receive EU candidate status.
Meanwhile, the Russian foreign minister has said that 2 Britons and 1 Moroccan sentenced to death by Russian forces had committed crimes in Donetsk. The 3 men were captured while fighting for Ukraine in April. A court found them guilty of mercenary activities and committing actions aimed at seizing power and overthrowing the constitutional order. But Boris Johnson has said that under the Geneva Conventions, prisoners of war are entitled to combatant immunity and they should not be prosecuted for participation in hostilities. The German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has arrived in Kosovo to announce his support for the country's membership of the European Union. He was welcomed in Pristina with military honours by Kosovo's Prime Minister, marking his first stop of a 2-day tour through the Western Balkans. Following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the EU has picked up speed on bringing countries in the Balkans closer to the European Union. Shanghai is set to lock down millions of people once again over the weekend, just 10 days after lifting its gruelling 2-month confinement. 5 of the districts said residents would not be allowed to leave their homes while the testing was carried out. The Chinese commercial hub is racing to stop a wider outbreak after discovering a handful of community cases. Russia and China have unveiled the first road bridge between the 2 countries as Moscow pivots to Asia amid its confrontation with the West over Ukraine. The kilometre-long bridge over the Amur River links the far east of Russia with northern China. During the opening ceremony, the passage of the first trucks was greeted by fireworks. The wreck of a royal warship which sank more than 340 years ago while carrying the future King James Stuart has been discovered off the east coast of the UK. Since the 17th century, the wreck has lain undiscovered until it was found by 2 diving brothers from Norfolk after a 4-year search over 5,000 nautical miles. It has been described by a historian as the most important maritime discovery since the Mary Rose.
I think there's massive potential there. I mean, when you think that a lot of the items we've been conserving comes from a chest, and there could be a number of other chests down there and what they contain and what they're going to tell us about life in that period in the 17th century is really exciting.
And finally, the pop star Britney Spears has married her longtime boyfriend Sam Asghari after nearly 6 years together. The couple announced their engagement via Instagram in September 2021, but had not disclosed a wedding date. 2 months later, the singer was released from a legal conservatorship that had controlled her personal life and finances for 13 years. During court proceedings, she said she longed to get married and start a new family. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.